We've pretty much been discussing public health efforts to control this disease and treatment efforts, whether supportive treatments or new drugs to control the disease. Clearly, a vaccine would be a good idea. Do you think it would work? Is there the potential for a vaccine?
I believe there is the potential. Unlike the HIV virus, which constantly is changing, there are probably well-conserved regions of the Ebola strain that we're dealing with now.
So GlaxoSmithKline and the U.S. National Institutes of Health have jointly been fast-tracking a vaccine, and they've been trialing it in Mali and in Gambia. Given the speed with which these things have come along and the care with which you have to treat these things, when do you think we might see a vaccine?
It would be purely conjecture. It'd be a couple of years at the very least.
And given the rate at which this thing is spreading,
we can't keep up with it.
A vaccine going to be of any use tomorrow, the next week?
No, because vaccine will only prevent new cases. It will not deal with the ones that are there now, and it's not a treatment.
Let's talk about preventive efforts now at the local level. Hospital protocols, of course, say no visible skin. That's it,
Right.
Nothing. Is it feasible to do that in hospitals all over America, given the way these hospitals are constructed, the equipment that's in these hospitals, or should we, in your view, be focusing on the construction of central hospital facilities where we have containment areas?
I think that's what you see happening right now, that the best containment areas are in the hospitals where they brought the patients back home from Africa to reproduce those facilities on a widespread scale. Who has the resources for that? Perhaps we need novel solutions such as more portable, smaller buildings. Maybe even an effort to have patients be treated outside the hospital proper and get the exact same care in a prefab units that would be available for this type of an emergency.
They got prefab units in Africa right now. But
would we need them here is my question.
the other question I have is, it's all well and good to say, okay, we've got XYZ centers in Nebraska, Atlanta, you can pick up any of the other locations you'd like, build new ones if you like. But at some point, somebody's going to walk up to a local community hospital and say, I think I have Ebola. So that hospital has to be prepared to treat presumptive Ebola right there and right then. Is that a rational expectation?
Unless and until we've heard of someone arriving at one of the local airports who is ill with that condition, I don't know that we need to worry about it right now. I think that the spread, our best efforts will keep this from becoming the horror that's in Africa right now, and that the public should not be overly concerned. A doctor, an actual colleague of mine said, I have to travel to Dallas. Should I call off my trip? Another respected colleague of mine, I'm going on a cruise. I said, where are you going, Africa? He says, Puerto Rico. I said, what are you worried about?
I'd worry about lots of other things.
You can dengue.
Dengue, or on the ship, there's lots of other viruses. I don't think.
But these are respected colleagues, so the level of fear among those that are educated,
Well, here's a fear that I
is
heard.
dwarfed by those who don't know as much.
Yeah. I mean, when your own colleagues are beginning to talk that way, it's a little worrisome. But it goes to the core of the terror of this virus. And I suspect it's not so much that the virus is pervasive, but that the virus is so deadly. Even one infection, you don't want this,
That is absolutely correct.
So a colleague of mine who's an emergency room doc said to me, I'm not so much worried about myself, but I'm worried about my triage people out front.
That is absolutely correct. This is unlike any other infectious disease. This is a direct threat to those on the front lines. And who's going to know someone has Ebola before the exposure? That only happens when it's obvious in an endemic area.
Do you know?
Here it's very different.
But what about local hospitals? What are they doing? Do you know of anything that's going on at the local community hospital level to gear up for the potential of somebody walking in saying, I have relatives that I just visited in Liberia. I thought I was okay, but last night I had 101.
I don't know about all hospitals in the state naturally, but I believe that there is no lack of awareness here. I think that more needs to be done in terms of the uniformity of cooperating or coordinating with CDC when it's appropriate. And if there is a standard set of response protocols, they should be uniformly taught to each and every hospital in the area. And repeating the drills involving the personal protective
Is
equipment.
this going on right now?
It's institution to institution. It varies. I can't speak for all
But
hospitals.
it's not uniform. It's not across the board.
Not yet.